All right, just put 2 flights on the what I call the Chextra. It kind of has never flown right since I got it. Some random no-name Chinese ARF. Not a big ARF guy, but it was cheap. It's on Facebook Marketplace. I took a shot at it. It's 64 inches, I think. Weighs about 8.5 pounds. Runs on 6S 5K. Same power plant as my Skybolt and my Eagle, with a 5055 430 kV SK3 motor on it with a 1510 prop. Flies much better. Found out after messing with it that the left wingtip was twisted up. So from wingtip to wingtip, it was 2 degrees different. The right tip was 1 degree down, which is what I kind of want, and the left wingtip was 1 degree up. So I got the old covering iron out, twisted it, locked in about 1 degree of washout, and that seems to have pretty much fixed it. It still will snap, but it's just the way that I think that's pretty much how the design is. It was so bad before, like if you just barely touched the elevator, it would just snap into a spin. What some people like to call tip stalls, but it's just a stall that induces a spin. So it flies much better, so we'll give it another shot. We got 1 more battery. The wind is kind of all over the place today, but it's calm, so it's not really anything to worry about. I also have the CG forward a little bit, the normal, than what the quote-unquote manual calls for. It called for 4.5 inches from the leading edge. I have it a little more forward. I copied the Great Plains 60 size kit suggestions, which is about 4 1/8. This is a little bit, I think this is close to like 4 1/4, 4 3/8, somewhere like that. It's like right in the middle. And so far it flies really nice. So we'll see what it does in the air here. I'm still a little scared of it. So I tend to fly it a little higher than most of my planes, but the last 2 flights went really well. It's pretty precise. It's on medium rates right now, and the high rates aren't even really that high. I have, I think, maybe like 1 inch of elevator throw on high rates, which is not much at all. But overall, it always flew pretty nice. It always snaps so bad. Like you couldn't even slow it down enough on landing without it just dropping a wing on you. You really had to be cooking. And actually, one of the first flights I had with it, you'll notice that if you notice the bottom is all white in the middle, is because it wouldn't slow down, or it wouldn't fly slow enough, so it just ran into the tall grass down there and proceeded to rip the landing gear off and shove the wheel pants into the bottom of the wing. Didn't really hurt anything other than the sheeting, but yeah, that was not a good start to this plane. I haven't really flown it much. You have to remove the wing to change the battery because it's a nitro plane. It's not really meant to be electric. And I never really wanted to spend the time to put a hatch in it if it wasn't going to fly right. So this was kind of like the judgment day for this plane. I think it's going to stay. So I'll take the time to cut a hatch in the top. I got pretty close to matching blue covering from Hobby King because obviously it's from China, so it's likely the same stuff. But let's see what it'll do. Like, nice pull up, nice and straight. That pull right there would have resulted in a snap, no doubt. It will still snap, but you gotta pull on it pretty hard. Like that right there is a nice tight loop, not possible before. Where now you gotta kind of slow it down. See if I can pull it back enough to get us to snap here. It should drop the left wing like that. That's just full elevator. Still pretty tame, but it will still do it. But this pull right here, like all of that would have been questionable before. And I'm at half throttle here. It's a pretty fast little plane. Let's say it's running the same power plant as my Skybolt, and it's a pound lighter. This is full throttle here. So she goes. She's not a 3D machine. It's not what I wanted. I don't really do well with 3D. I used to do it back in the day, but I like a little more scale flying now, even though not all my planes are scale. But yeah, it's it flies pretty good. I think it'll live to die another day. And that way I don't have to build another kit. I love building kits, don't get me wrong. I'm building one right now. I'm building a Sig Cavalier with some modifications. But sometimes it's nice to just pull an ARF out of the box and do the last 10% and go flying. That pull right there would have been questionable before. Now I can do nice tight loops and pulls. Oh yeah, no way was that possible before. I kind of wish it was still messed up, and when I had this camera, and I would have been able to show how bad it flew. But now it's making me a liar. Seems to hold the knife edge fairly well. See if we can. Not a lot of coupling, a little bit of gear coupling, but it's kind of common. Not as bad as the Eagle, which is gnarly on gear coupling, as in it tries to pitch towards the gear in the knife edge. But again, I'm not a 3D pilot. I just kind of do my basic stunts, my basic pattern stuff. I don't have a pattern plane yet. That's kind of why my Cavalier is going to kind of be a sort of pattern plane. I have plans to build a Chaos 60 at some point. That'll be obviously an old school pattern plane. Not a big fan of the newer pattern planes. They look like flying fish. But this is a nice little, if you want to practice an IMAX sequence, this will do it now. It wouldn't before. We'll put it up on the high rates and see what it will. I got some expo in it. See what the roll rate's like. Yeah, the roll rate's a little bit faster. Obviously the instructions didn't give any kind of recommended throws, so these are on the Great Plains 60 size kit throws, roughly. Sure does look nice, and it's a low wing extra, so it's technically a 300 or 330L, which I feel like you don't see much of anymore. Everybody does the high or mid-wing version. Oh, my battery. Been yapping too long. My battery's complaining at me already, or the timer's complaining. But alright, we'll see if we can bring this down. The wind has switched a little bit on me, but I'm still gonna land the normal way because oddly enough, I am more comfortable landing into the hill. Don't know why, it's just what I'm used to. Is 9 times out of 10 that's the way the wind is blowing around here. So I do have flaperons put into this. I don't know if this is going to get slow enough. This plane does not like to slow down. A little bit of a wheel landing. The flaperons tend to pitch the nose down on this. I reprogrammed that switch. So that's it. I'll take the crescendo up. I only had one 3-cell battery, so I figured I'd take that. You can get like 20, almost 30 minutes out of that thing. And yeah, I don't have many foamies, but that's one of like 3 or 4 that I have. But yeah, I gotta take the wing off, take the battery out, but that's it. I think that'll be, as I say, it'll live to die another day. I'll cut a hatch in the top piece there and make it a lot easier to take the battery in and out. And yeah, very happy.